Good morning, YouTube, BookTube. This is Johnny. I want to make a video, a quick video. It is a Wednesday morning here in West Michigan. It is August the 14th, 2019. It's 8:55 in the morning. My wife just left. She has to go to the hospital, and they're interviewing 3 people for a position in the hospital, and my wife is going to be in the interviews for a rapid response nurse. And I need to get these books down the lower level. I got them last Friday, as I've mentioned in several videos, that last week Friday my wife and I went to a used book sale in South Haven, and so I want to show you these books. I'm not going to go into them. I'm just going to show them. I'm sure these authors are familiar if you're into the book, if you're a book person, into the book world. Nothing really mind-blowing. Just books, authors I collect, subject matters that I collect. And first of all, there's Ayn Rand, the Romantic Manifesto. Now, I didn't get this at the used book sale, but as we were leaving South Haven, there's a Goodwill store that we always stop at, and I found this little book at the Goodwill store in South Haven. Ayn Rand, the Romantic Manifesto. I showed you this book I got at the at the Friday used book sale last Friday, Another Roadside Attraction by Tom Robbins. I've been reading this the last couple of days, really enjoying it. I must have read it many years ago, I don't remember. But I've been reading this, and I got the Diary of H.L. Mencken. Now, I've showed you this. I've been reading this the last couple of days. I have a hardback edition of this. I didn't know it, but now, if I see a book at a used book sale or a thrift store and I can't remember if I have it, I just buy it. And if I have it, then I take the second edition or second copy or whatever to the Book Nook, or I put it in the roving library in my old Dodge van. So then I picked up a book I have already, but if I see a Henry Miller book, I just buy them. This is Big Sur and the Oranges of Hermas Bosch by Henry Miller. As I was looking at this yesterday, and it's about, as you all know, Henry Miller in his life, he lived in Big Sur in California. It's below San Francisco, and it's about his life. It's basically an autobiography and about Big Sur and his life in Big Sur. And I've showed you these 2 literary journals, McSweeney's issue 12, summer of 2003. And then I picked up the literary journal, The Tin House. This was an issue volume 5, number 4. I don't know what year this came out, but summer of 2004. I collect books by this guy, Edward O. Wilson, The Social Conquest of Earth, winner of the Pulitzer Prize. I collect his writings. He wrote a novel called Anthill. He's written 20 books. I just find him interesting. He's an evolutionist, which I don't agree with, but I just like his writings. And then I picked up a biography on Faulkner by Joseph Butler. I have his biography he wrote on Robert P. Penn Warren. This is Faulkner, a biography. And then I picked up Alice Munro. I collect her writings. I didn't have this one, The Progress of Love. I think these are short stories, if I remember correctly. So I got that. I also have this book already in our library. This is by Mario Vargas Llosa, The Bad Girl. I got this because I like the cover of it. And I have almost all his writings in our library. And then I picked up, this was a new book. It cost me $3. But I got it because I have this Harrison Kenny. He wrote a biography on Thurber, James Thurber, and this is the Thurber Letters, the wit, wisdom, and surprising life of James Thurber, Harrison Kenny editor. And Harrison Kenny is the author of James Thurber, His Life and Times, published in 1995. So I have his letters now, the biography. And then I picked up this book of poetry by Joseph Bronsky, A Part of Speech. I try to, when I go to a used book sale, I try to get a smattering of everything: biography, poetry, history, nonfiction, short stories, letters, all kinds of stuff. So I got this for my poetry collection, Part of Speech by Joseph Bronsky. And then I got this book, Preserving the World's Great Cities, The Destruction and Renewal of Historical Metropolis by Anthony M. Tung. I'm kind of interested in major cities, world cities like Paris and London and San Francisco and New York City and Berlin and Jerusalem and Istanbul. And so I got this. And then I collect the novels and writings, short stories of D.C. Boyle. This is San Miguel. I didn't have this one. This is Julian Barnes, Taking It Over. I already had this in our library. This is a Victorian writer. I don't have anything by her. This is by Margaret Oliphant, Mrs. Marjoribanks, Victorian literature. This is by John Barth, who I have all his writings, but when I saw this, I got this at the Goodwill store. These are Where Three Roads Meet novellas by John Barth. This is a biography on John Quincy Adams, American visionary, by Fred Kaplan. Fred Kaplan has written a ton of biographies, and I didn't have this one. He's written biographies on everybody. Years ago, I think I read a biography he wrote on Gore Vidal that I really liked. And I know he's written a biography on Mark Twain, Lincoln, Henry James, Charles Dickens, Thomas Carlyle. So I got this one, John Quincy Adams, American Visionary. This is a novel by I think she is Hungarian. Oka Christoph. This kind of looks like a very modernistic, postmodernist. The Notebook, The Proof, and The Third Lie. Translate from the French by Alan Sharon, David Watson, and Mark Romano. I try to get, when I go to a used book sale or a thrift store, I look for works in translation. People I've never heard of but look interesting, so I got this. This is James McCain, Mildred Pierce. This is a crime novel. This was published. The man who wrote this, he wrote The Postman Always Rings Twice and Double Indemnity, which were made into movies in the 40s. This came out in 1941. This is stamped from the beginning, The Definitive History of Racist Ideas in America by Ibram X. Kendi. This is winner of the 2016 National Book Award for Nonfiction, National Book Critics Circle Award finalist for Nonfiction. So I got this National Book Award winner. Stamped from the beginning, The Definitive History of Racist Ideas in America. This is, I have the writings of Richard Brannigan. This is Revenge of the Lawn, Stories from 1962 to 1970 by Richard Brannigan. He was a former editor of the New York Times Book Review. This is Charles Simmons, An Old-Fashioned Darling. I'm not really sure what this is. Is this a mystery, a crime? I'm not really sure, but I don't know. It was recommended by James Dickey. An Old-Fashioned Darling is written in a hilarious exuberance, and there is little to match it in the contemporary novel. Reading it, I never had such a good time in my life or learned more about human beings and their real drives and delights. Quote by James Dickey. This is another thing I looked interesting. It's called Silent History. It's by Eli Horowitz, Matthew Derby, and Kenneth Moffat. Once again, I'm not sure what this is, but it looked interesting. A brilliant and vital work of art. I don't know, it just looked kind of provocative. This is by a novel, not a novel, but a biography by one of Russia's greatest poet, Anna Akhmatova, Poet and Prophet by Roberta Reader. I like reading about Russian writers and Russian poets. She was around the time of the Russian Revolution I think she died in 1889. She died in 1966. I don't know. I just like reading about Russian intellectuals and poets and writers. This is My American History, Divided Loyalties, How the American Revolution Came to New York by Richard M. Fetchum. He's a very famous American historian. The Hawk and the Dove, Paul Nitze, George Kennan, and the History of the Cold War by Nicholas Thompson. I collect books on the Cold War, and I like books on George Kennan. I collect his writings, biographies about him. And this is a biography by Francis Steegmuller, Cocteau. I just showed you. He was a playwright, a filmmaker, an artist in Paris. He died in 1963. He's very famous in the Parisian literary art scene of the 20s, 30s, and 40s. So those are the used books I got at the last Friday. A good haul. A lot of stuff to keep my mind buzzing. So I'll put these down the lower level where the library is. Our books are downstairs in the lower level. We have a walkout basement. There's windows down there and doors, and it's just filled with books. You can see there's videos in my videos of the lower level if you're really curious. So I still got a head cold. I think it could be allergies. I don't know. So yeah, so that's the used books. If you got any questions about these books, or you've read them, or you know anything about them, please feel free to comment, share your thoughts. This morning is August the 14th. It's my birthday. My wife gave me a birthday card this morning. We're going out for dinner tonight with our oldest son, Caleb, and his wife, Emily, and our two granddaughters, Josie and Cora. I got a birthday card I showed you from our son, Josiah. I'm sure I'll hear from our daughter, Beth, and Andy, and Louisa, and Margaret, and Jack. So yeah, the Lord's been good over the last 67 years. I've been a Christian going on 50 years. So yeah, I became a Christian when I was like 17, 18 years old. And last night I sat, before I went to bed, Carol had gone to bed early, and I sat in the dark just looking over the years. What a strange trip it's been, but the Lord's been good. The Lord's been faithful. So I'm going to download this video. I'm going to write my diary. I don't really know if I can read anything this morning because I'm kind of lost in reviewing my life. And I should get into, I probably will read one of my Christian books. I got a book coming in the mail. I got a couple books I've got coming in the mail. Before we go out for dinner tonight, we're going to visit thrift stores so I can look at used books. So I hope you're all doing well. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the happy birthday wishes. Thank you for just being who you are, and hope you're all doing well and having a good week, a good reading week. And until next time, bye.